Hey friends, welcome back. Now, the final thing, of course, is we want to visualize. Remember, Power BI is a data visualization tool. That is why tables like this one are great to understand how something works. However, at the end of the day, of course, we want to visualize our findings, because this will be much more appealing to the audience. And here, we'd like to do this dynamically, and expand our table discussion a little bit, and talk about disconnected tables. So far, we evaluated virtual tables. So remember, virtual tables are tables which are created within a measure, like we've done for the new customers as an example. If I take this option, these tables here, which we have created here and stored in variables, these are virtual tables. However, next to virtual tables, of course, we also have the option to create tables with DAX expressions. We have done this with add columns here. That this function for as an example, which create real tables which are also visible here. In a table, it's in a field area. And the third one would be disconnected tables, which are also visible in the field area here, but are not evaluated based on DAX expressions. At least not necessarily. What I mean by this is, let me shrink this. Okay, here we go. And say, I'd like to create a new table, but based on a manual table, which will be disconnected from our model. So if I go to home and say, I'd like to create a new table, let's say here enter data. And call this here, let's call this table customer type table. So customer type TBL. Of course, you can name this what you'd be like. And then for this column here, I name this customer type. So double click here and say, this will be customer type. And then for the values here, I say, this will be new customer, or new customers. And let's say here, lost customers. Like that, okay. These are the two entries we need. And that's basically it. They are new, no additional columns we need. Only those two. So if we can load, we will create the table. And we will use this table to visualize, dynamically visualize the lost customers as well as the new customers. So what I mean by disconnected table concept is the following. All the measures we've created here are related to the orders table because they account customer ID. And they also evaluate based on the dates table. And the dates table, if we go to the model view, of course, it's linked, as you can see here, with our relationship to the orders table. So here, top to bottom, right? Let me maybe shrink this a little bit. So those two tables. The other table, which is this one, not this one. To go to the site there, sometimes a little bit hidden. So but there is the customer. TBL. This table here is a disconnected table. This means that the table itself is not connected to the orders table or to the data model itself here. So by default, if we select anything from it, nothing would happen with values or measures created based on the orders table, right? Because there's no connection. And these disconnected tables can still be used for evaluating a specific expression based on the model tables. And this is what we do now. So let's actually go to the report view and create the plus symbol here, a new page. And say this will be our dynamic visualization. So I'm going with the orders table. So I'll go with the dates here. And then I want to evaluate here something. And so instead of using it as a table, I like to see this actually as a bar chart. So here the columns, so that's fine. For now we don't see anything of course. And now we need to evaluate an expression here. And instead of visualizing something like, let's say we could add the new customers here. I can take this option and I can go with a drill down here. Expense to the hierarchy level to the quarter. And also to the month level if I want, right? Like that, I could do that. And I can see my data. However, this is static. And by static, I mean that it will always show here the new customers, right? So in order to get the lost customers also in the view, I would do this. I could do the following. I could go to customers lost. And I can drag this also into the value section. If I want, right? I could do that. And then I would also see customers lost in here. However, at first I don't like the specialization here. It doesn't look too good to me. And still it's not dynamic. Maybe I only want to see one of those at a time. But I still want to only use one visual. And this is where this disconnected table comes into play. And that's why we have created it. So let me actually remove the customers lost for now. Let's create our final measure. Let's say right-click on the measures table. And create the measure. Okay, here we go. Let's actually make this bigger. And here it is. Okay, that's the measure. And we say this will be our customer type. Well, what's called it? It's called this dynamic customer type. Okay, so it equals U. And now I go to move line, press Shift Enter and a tab. And I want you to switch function. So switch is a kind of if you want. So it returns different results, depending on the value of an expression. Okay, so we need to evaluate something. And the evaluation could be. And this often the case that you actually use the switch in combination with the true function. So if you type in true, then you need to check various values. So in this case value 1, value 2, and so on. You can use additional as much as you want. But you evaluate the specific value, the expression, or the value itself. And if it is true, then you return the result. That's why we use the true as an expression here in the switch statement. So please return the result for which the value is true. So let's say switch true. And then as a first argument here, I say selected value. So selected value, selected, value. And you spell it correctly. Okay, selected value. And now we refer to our customer type table. So where's it customer type TBL? And there the customer type. So if this equals U, what do we call it? I think new customers, right? New customers like that. Then if this is a case, then it's actually first. Of course, I need to close this one. This will be the result here. If this equals U new customers, then what I want to do is as a result, I like to use the new customer measure like that. And then as a second to kind of something similar. You can do 9 and say selected value. So like that value. And then I say here, I want to use the customer type TBL. Again, the customer type. If this is equal to lost customers. So lost customers like that. Then of course here, I also forgot the closing parenthesis. Here for the selected value. If that is the case, then I'd like to see my lost customer measure. So customers lost, we call it customers lost. Here we go, this one here. And then you could also specify as an else, a default value. Let's say the default value. We would like to see the new customers. So we'd like to focus on the positive, right? So new customers. And there we can close it. And maybe we would like to go here. And do the same, go here and have it. A little bit formal in the piece. Okay, so that's it basically. So evaluate please the true. Whether the selected value from the customer table is new customer, then please show the new customers. If the selected value is lost customers, then please show the lost customers here. And by default, if nothing is selected, please show the new customers. Okay, so that's our measure. And let's actually evaluate that. And we get our measure. And of course now we simply need to switch what we have inside. So instead of using the new customers, which is fixed, we go with our dynamic customer type. So let me actually use this and drag this into the values here. And let's actually, you can see this is the same value for now, because by default it evaluates to the new customers. This is true. But now if we go with, let's say we would like to see a slicer. And this slicer will now, based on our disconnected table, which is this customer type. You can take this option here. And then just to maybe visualize this a little bit different here, I go under general section for the slicer. And change the orientation horizontally. Because I personally prefer it this way. Let's move this smaller. So we know of that all lost customers and new customers. And maybe increase a few things here. Let's say here for here, the slicer header. We don't need, I think. But for the items, let's increase actually the size. So let's see, 15 here. Let's make also the font color maybe dark. So we can see this better hopefully. And of course you can customize this further if you want. But for me now that's fine. Okay, so I got my lost and my new customers. And now of course, if we drag this maybe somewhere here, okay. And also add the labels here. Some data labels. So we can also see the numbers here. This will be our new customers. And now if we click on the lost customers here. If we take this option here. Now you see that the chart dynamically adjusts. And that's what I meant, right? So this chart will now show either the lost customers or the new customers based on a selection we made, right? Using this dynamic measure and our disconnected table, which we have in the overview, which is this one here, okay. So that's it actually for this video. And the final video now for the table functions. So hopefully you enjoyed it. The wrap up and explore it yourself, try it out. As always, thanks a lot for watching. And I'll cut away to see you in the next video. Until then, best guys. Best guys.